Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you worked for, your dreams, your plans, your future, is completely gone. Your business failed. Your relationship ended. Your health collapsed. Your bank account is empty. And the worst part, nobody is coming to save you. Now tell me, what do you do in that moment? Do you stay on the floor? Or do you get up? Because here is the truth that nobody tells you when you are young, when you are full of hope, when you are sitting in a classroom dreaming about your future. Nobody tells you that life will hit you. And I do not mean a gentle tap on the shoulder. I mean life will hit you so hard that you will forget who you are. You will forget what you were fighting for. You will look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back at you. And that moment, that exact moment of complete collapse, that is not the end of your story. That is actually where your real story begins. See, we live in a world that loves success. We celebrate the winner. We put their picture on the magazine cover. We share their videos. We buy their books, but we never talk about what happened before that cover photo. We never talk about the years of silence, the years of failure, the years of crying in a car at midnight because you do not want your family to see you broken. We skip that chapter because it is uncomfortable, because it is ugly, because it does not get likes. But that chapter, that painful, ugly, uncomfortable chapter, that is the most important chapter of any great life ever lived. Let me tell you something about Thomas Edison. When he was trying to invent the light bulb, he failed over 10,000 times. 10,000. And someone asked him, how does it feel to fail 10,000 times? And Edison looked at that person and said, I did not fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that do not work. That is not just a clever quote. That is a complete transformation of perspective. That man decided that failure was not the opposite of success. Failure was part of the process of success. But here is what I want you to understand. Edison was not a superhuman. He was not born with special powers. He was a man who made a decision that most people are too afraid to make. He decided that he would not let circumstances define his conclusion. He would only let circumstances inform his journey. And that decision, that single choice, is the difference between people who make it and people who do not. You see, hard does not mean impossible. And I need you to really hear that, not just in your ears. I need you to feel it in your chest. Hard does not mean impossible. It means difficult. It means painful. It means slow. It means lonely. But it does not mean over. Think about water. Simple, ordinary water. Water does not fight the rock. Water does not scream at the rock. Water does not give up and go home when it sees a rock in its path. Water just keeps moving, slowly, consistently, day after day, year after year, and eventually, water cuts right through the hardest rock on earth, not because water is stronger than rock, but because water never stopped. You need to be like water, because most people, most talented, intelligent, capable people, they stop. They stop not because they cannot do it. They stop because they cannot see the result yet. They stop because the result is taking longer than they expected. They stop because someone laughed at them. They stop because someone said it was impossible. They stop because they compared their chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 30 and decided they were losing. And that comparison, that deadly, toxic comparison, it has killed more dreams than failure ever did. Right now, at this very moment, there are people in the world who had every reason to quit. People who had less than you. People who had more obstacles than you. People who were told no more times than you will ever be told in your entire life. And those people did not quit. And because they did not quit, today their names are written in history. Malala Yousafzai was shot in the head, shot for wanting to learn, for wanting to go to school, for believing that knowledge belongs to every human being regardless of gender. She woke up from that and did not hide. She walked back into the world with a bigger voice than before. She stood in front of the United Nations and spoke. She became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate in history. And she did not do that because the world became easy. She did it because she decided that her purpose was bigger than her pain. Your purpose has to become bigger than your pain because pain is real. I am not standing here telling you that life is not hard. It is hard. It is genuinely, deeply hard. Some of you watching this right now are going through something that you have never told another human being. Some of you are carrying a weight that wakes you up at 3 a.m. and sits on your chest like a stone. Some of you have smiled all day and come home and fallen apart alone. And I see you. And I need you to know that pain you are carrying is real and it is valid. And you do not have to pretend it does not exist. But your pain is not your identity. You are not the thing that happened to you. You are not the failure. You are not the rejection. You are not the diagnosis. You are not the bankruptcy. You are not the broken relationship. You are not the mistake you made 10 years ago that you still replay in your mind at 2 a.m. You are what you choose to do next. That is it. That is the whole formula, not your past, not your circumstances, not your family background, not your education level, not your bank account balance. What you choose to do next, that is who you are. And here is the thing about choice that nobody talks about. You do not have to choose perfectly. You do not have to wake up tomorrow with a perfect plan and a perfect mindset and a perfect morning routine. You just have to choose forward, even a small step forward, even a painful, uncertain, terrifying step forward, because motion, even imperfect motion, creates momentum, and momentum changes everything. Think about the caterpillar. That creature does not become a butterfly by staying comfortable. It goes through a complete dissolution. Inside that cocoon, everything it was breaks apart. Everything it knew disappears. And in that darkness, in that confusion, in that terrifying in-between space, something new is being built. Something that could never have existed without going through that destruction first. You are in the cocoon right now, and I know it feels like destruction, but what is actually happening, if you choose to keep going, is transformation. The most powerful thing a human being can do is stand up after being knocked down and say, I am not finished. Not say it loudly to the world, not post it on social media. Just say it quietly to yourself in the darkness of your own room when nobody is watching, because that quiet, private decision, that is where character is built. That is where greatness is forged, not under the spotlight, in the silence. Jim Carrey grew up so poor that his family lived in a Volkswagen van. They parked it on someone else's lawn and called it home. His father lost his job, and their family lost everything. And young Jim Carrey, instead of deciding that his life was already written, took out a check. He wrote it to himself for $10 million for acting services rendered. He put a date on it. Thanksgiving 1995. He put that check in his wallet and looked at it every day. And in 1994, just before that date, he received a movie deal for exactly $10 million for Dumb and Dumber. He placed that check in his father's coffin at his funeral because the dream had always been for both of them. That story does not make you feel good just because of the happy ending. It makes you feel something because of the belief, because of the audacity, because of the man who decided in the middle of poverty and homelessness that his story was not over. Your story is not over. Let me talk to you about something else, about the people around you, because sometimes the hardest part of life is not your circumstances, it is the voices that tell you to be realistic, the voices that remind you of your failures, the voices that have a list, a long, detailed, well-organized list of every reason why you will not make it. And sometimes those voices come from strangers, and sometimes, and this is the part that hurts, sometimes those voices come from people you love, people who are afraid for you, people who are protecting their own fears by projecting them onto you, people who are not wrong to love you, but are wrong to limit you. You have to protect your dream, not selfishly, not arrogantly, but protectively, the way a mother protects a child, because your dream is alive. It is a living thing, and it needs to be in an environment where it can breathe. Guard your mind like it is the most valuable real estate on earth, because it is. What you allow in, the conversations, the content, the comparisons, the criticisms, all of that is shaping your belief about what is possible for you. And your belief is everything, because you will never outperform your belief. You can work harder than anyone on the planet, but if deep inside you believe you do not deserve it, you will find a way to destroy it just before it arrives. So work on what you believe just as hard as you work on what you do. And I want to say something about time, because one of the biggest lies that discouragement tells you is that it is too late. You missed your window. You are too old. You started too late. Everyone else is ahead of you. And I need to destroy that lie with evidence. Vera Wang did not design her first dress until she was 40 years old. 40. Today, she is one of the most iconic fashion designers in the world. Colonel Sanders was 65 years old, living on his Social Security check, sleeping in his car. When he started franchising Kentucky Fried Chicken, he was rejected by over 1,000 restaurants before someone said yes. 1,000 rejections at 65, and he kept going. Toni Morrison published her first novel at 39, and she went on to win the Nobel Prize in literature. Time is not your enemy. Giving up is your enemy. Comparing your timeline to someone else's timeline is your enemy. But time itself, time is neutral. It will pass whether you use it or not. The question is simply, what will you do with it? And finally, I want to talk to you about the purpose behind the pain, because I believe deeply that every difficult thing that happens to you is not happening to destroy you. It is happening to develop you. It is building something in you that cannot be built in comfort. Resilience cannot be built in comfort. Empathy cannot be built in comfort. Real strength, not the kind you perform for people, but the kind that holds you together when everything falls apart, that cannot be built in comfort. The hardest seasons of your life are producing the most important qualities of your character. And one day, not today, maybe not next year, but one day, you will look back at this season and understand why it had to happen. You will meet someone going through exactly what you survived, and you will be able to look them in the eye with complete honesty and say, I know how this feels, and I know it does not end here. That is not a small thing. That is one of the greatest gifts one human being can give to another. So here is what I need you to do. Not tomorrow, not after this video, right now, in this moment. I need you to make a decision, a simple, quiet, powerful decision. Decide that you are not done. Decide that your best chapter is still ahead of you. Decide that hard is not the same as impossible. Decide that you have survived 100% of your worst days, and that record is going to continue. Life is hard, undeniably, relentlessly, sometimes brutally hard, but it is not impossible, and neither are you. Get up, keep moving. The world is waiting for what only you can bring to it.